Going on, everybody? It's Key Time coming back to talk about Week 16 of the NFL season, and it was a lot to uncover in Week 16 of the NFL season, and I'm about to go down a list. That first game of Week 16 brought us to Los Angeles. The first game was the Denver Broncos and the not San Diego Chargers, but the Los Angeles Chargers. Now, when you look at this game right here, I don't know. It was like Chargers. They laid an egg the first half. That's exactly what it was. The Chargers laid an egg the first half, and then second half they came out of that locker room in the second half and they said, look, we not about to get blown out in front of our home fans. But let me tell you, Los Angeles is really not a home field. It's just a tourist town, a touristy town. So Bo Nix, 29 of 40, 263 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Justin Herbert, 23 of 31, 284 yards, two touchdowns, one interception. And basically, both rushing attacks had the same amount of yards. The wide receivers had the same amount of yards. So this game was pretty much both teams are the spitting image of each other. Both teams are. So when you look at this game, I wouldn't be surprised if both of these teams made it into the playoffs. And currently, the Broncos and Chargers are 6 and 7 in the AFC playoff picture right now. So I wouldn't be surprised if both of these teams made it to the playoffs. Now, as far as third down situations in this game, I always say third down situations is what win and lose games. Chargers were slightly better on third down. The Chargers were 6 of 12 on third down in this game. The Broncos were 5 of 13 in this game. Now, the next game I'm going to cover is the Houston Texans and Kansas City Chiefs. Now, first off, send our prayers out to Tank Dell. We do not, anybody, and I do mean anybody that is a football fan, you do not want to see somebody's kneecap get fractured or leg get fractured during the game. So prayers out to Tank Dell for everybody. Let's just go ahead and pray for Tank Dell for a minute, for a few seconds. Yeah. Okay. Now back to the game. Kansas City Chiefs, Houston Texans. Houston already had a playoff spot locked up, so they just going through the motions now. Kansas City Chiefs, they 14-1. They got a chance at making. They have a chance at getting the first round bye and clinching the number one seed. Patrick Mahomes, 28 of 41, 260 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. C.J. Stroud, 23 of 39, 244 yards, two touchdowns, zero interceptions. Now, rushing attack. Kansas City's rushing attack was a lot better in this game, and Houston, they were pretty much standard because they had 84 yards rushing and Kansas City had 124 yards rushing. And you see the wide receivers for both sides of the ball. You see that Tank Dell, he had a good game. Like I said earlier in the show, we praying for him. Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz, Robert Woods, Joe Mixon, Xavier Hutchinson, Dare Wale, Andrew Beck. And now Andrew Beck, he was out there. He only got one target, but that's all. And then you have for the Kansas City Chiefs, Xavier Worthy, Samaje Perine, Hollywood Brown, DeAndre Hopkins, Travis Kelce, Kareem Hunt, Noah Gray, Justin Watson, Juju Smith-Schuster, and Isaiah Pacheco. Now Isaiah Pacheco, the offense is starting to click at the right time. Chiefs offense is starting to click at the right time, America, because early in the season they struggled so much to even get 27 to 30 points. Now with the addition of Hollywood Brown, getting him into the fold, you have another deep threat. Obviously, Xavier Worthy, he coming into his own. DeAndre Hopkins, he's starting to fit well with the system in Kansas City. Andy Reid, he is playing chess while everybody else is playing checkers. He got his team believing, and Patrick Mahomes, well, we know Patrick Mahomes gonna be Patrick Mahomes, even though he hasn't thrown for over 300 yards yet. We know Patrick Mahomes gonna be Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs. Now everybody is asking, who is the best team in the NFL? I got to say, like I said, I've been on the fence about with this question all season. And now I'm going to say, until somebody can beat the Chiefs, I'm going to stick with the Chiefs, because let me tell you that everybody has shown me they can beat everybody else in the NFL. But it's something about when you play the Kansas City Chiefs, it seemed like the Kansas City Chiefs, it just seemed like everybody is a little cautious when they play Patrick Mahomes, when they see Travis Kelce, when they see Taylor Swift. It seemed like everybody is a little cautious when it comes to that. Now, shout out to all the Swifties. Shout out to all the Swifties that look at my show and look at my videos. We gonna make it to the Super Bowl. Chiefs, if they get home field advantage, they gonna make it to the Super Bowl. And that'll be good for business right there. But back to the game now. Chiefs coming down the stretch. What they need to do is, I'm gonna say, win their next two games. And even if the Buffalo Bills win their next two games, the Chiefs will still have the better record. So the Chiefs gonna get home field advantage by default. That's what they gonna do. They gonna get home field advantage by default. So third down in this game, they were seven. Both teams were 7 or 13. This was a great game, but let's see. Now this Kansas City Chiefs team. Most of their wins have came by one-score games, and you see that if it wasn't for that defense and Patrick Mahomes, they wouldn't have got that. They wouldn't have got this far. The next game I'm going to cover is the Pittsburgh Steelers and Baltimore Ravens. Now the Baltimore Ravens in this game, let me see how many times they gave Derrick Henry the ball. Okay, they gave Derrick Henry the ball 24 times. Now for the Baltimore Ravens, they need to consistently do that, and they'll make it to the Super Bowl. Because I keep on telling you, you got a 260-pound running back or bell cow running back. Give that joker the ball, and y'all open up some lanes and just let him run through the lanes. And that's exactly what they did. That's exactly what they did on Saturday. Now Lamar Jackson, he had an efficient day. 15 or 23, 207 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception. Now that 1 interception, that was his fault, because the wide receiver ran to a different area on the field, and Lamar Jackson thought that he was gonna be right there. So that was miscommunication on both of their parts. Now for Pittsburgh, 23 or 33, Russell Wilson 23 or 33, 217 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Pittsburgh's rushing attack, 117 yards. Baltimore's rushing attack, 220 yards, and that's what basically they won this game at. Because, like I've always said throughout the season, when Derrick Henry has touched the ball over 20 times, the Baltimore Ravens are undefeated. When Derrick Henry touches the ball less than 20 times, they have a losing record. That is all it is. What the offensive coordinator need to do for the Ravens coming into the playoffs, he needs to institute Derrick Henry more into the fold, because in the playoffs, you one game and out. You one game and out. And if you are not able to put up or shut up in that one game, it is going to be difficult for you after the game to explain. If the Baltimore Ravens lose in the playoffs, it is going to be difficult for everybody on that coaching staff to explain where the mess up was. But as of right now, Baltimore, you going to the playoffs. You're going to be that fifth seed. The Pittsburgh Steelers are the third seed, but that could change in the next 2 weeks because both of these teams are 10-5. And if the Ravens lose, if the Ravens win at least one more game of their remaining two, and the Steelers lose one more game of their remaining two, the Ravens automatically are the AFC North champions. Because the Ravens, we projected them at the start of the season to be the best team coming out of the AFC North. Now, as far as third down, both teams were 4-10 on third down. So just like I said, both of these teams are the spitting image of each other. They really are. So all obviously, here's all the stats throughout the entirety of this game. I just do this because I know that most people, they don't really watch the game in its entirety. So y'all get a good look at these stats before I shift over to the other game. Before I shift over to the other games. Now, the next game I'm going to cover is the New York Giants and Atlanta Falcons. Man, New York Giants, they made history yesterday. 10 consecutive losses in a season in franchise history. Atlanta Falcons, they still have a chance. They still have a chance at making the playoffs. And courtesy of my Dallas Cowboys beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has lost first place in the NFC South, and the Atlanta Falcons are in first place, courtesy of my Dallas Cowboys. Now, let's get back to this game. This game, Michael Penix Jr., he had a good showing. This was his very first game that he suited up for in his NFL career. Michael Penix Jr., 18 of 27, 202 yards, 0 touchdowns, 1 interception. Drew Lock, 22 of 39, 210 yards, 1 touchdown, and 2 interceptions. Now, let's look at the rushing game when it comes to the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons. Atlanta Falcons, they ran with persistence against the New York Giants. Wide receiver, pretty much right there when it comes to, and let me tell you, Michael Penix Jr., he only just gonna build from this game. He's only just gonna build from this because the way he throws the ball, it's a pretty thing to see, America. The way he throws the ball. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, they have a chance at, if they win the next two games, if the Atlanta Falcons win one of their next two games and the Buccaneers lose one of their next two games, Atlanta, they will become the NFC South champions. So for the New York Giants, it's just been a downright god-awful season for y'all. It really has. It really has been a downright god-awful season for everybody that's in the New York Giants organization. It's been a downright awful season for y'all. John Mara, you need to get your stuff together. John Mara, my offer's still on the table. 8 years, $250 million. And I can give you a championship team. Now the first 3 years, it's gonna be a culture change if you give me that contract. If you give me that contract, John Mara, the first 3 years, I am going to make the Giants into a winning culture again because it has been quite a few years since we could put the New York Giants and winning culture in the same sentence. John Mara, my offer is out there. Please let me help you. 8 years, $250 million. Now I'm already now I'm already I already got a couple business ventures in New York. So 8 years, $250 million. You can contact me through YouTube. You can contact me through my email. You can contact me through wherever because New York Giants, this is not the same New York Giants team I grew up watching. When I was 5 and 6, the New York Giants would be making the playoffs year in and year out. Now, the New York Giants are just a are just full of dumpster juice. They a big old dumpster, and they got dumpster juice inside the dumpster. New York Giants, Brian Daboll. I don't know what has gone on with Brian Daboll. I just don't. I don't know what done went on with Brian Daboll. Malik Neighbors. Malik Neighbors, he's a good player, but in the offseason, he got to learn to get set and stay set for more than 3 seconds. Because every big play that Malik Neighbors has did this season has been called back by penalty or somebody else on the New York Giants wasn't socked right or they was holding, and that is why the play got called back. Joe Schoen, Joe Schoen, you gon' I don't like to call for nobody's job, but Joe Schoen isn't fitting the bill in the Big Apple. Joe Schoen, I can take over your job. I can take over your job. Give me the team executive and team GM for the New York Giants, and I can give everybody, no matter what team picks me up, I can give everybody a championship culture. Just give me 2 or 3 years. Give me 2 or 3 years, and I will build a championship culture. We'll be making the playoffs, and we'll be going deep into the playoffs. And one day, we'll be hosting that Super Bowl trophy up and letting everybody else in the NFL know that this guy right here, Key Time Sports, Key City Sports, built this team from scratch. Now, hey, even though everybody is saying that it's going to be challenging, it don't matter. Because when a new coach comes to a new football team, he already dealt with challenges. He's dealing with constant turnover, and he's dealing with over 400 personalities. Not to mention that you got the 53-man roster, you got the practice squad, then you got the second, third, fourth, fifth, and 16 players on the team that you got to think about too. So you're dealing with all of that personnel. But somebody like Brian Daboll, who was just he was a defensive coordinator. But somehow, some way, John Mara Giants owner liked how Brian Daboll was coaching. Brian Daboll, he outside of that one good year, and I believe that was a lucky year for the New York Giants, having Daniel Jones and Saquon Barkley. Now Daniel Jones in Minnesota, and Saquon Barkley is right down the street in Philadelphia, running over everybody. Now, the Atlanta Falcons, you have your franchise cornerstone quarterback. In in Michael Penix Jr. Now, Michael Penix Jr., he throw one of he the passes that he threw yesterday, they was nice. I mean, it was just smooth, pinpoint accuracy. I had to go back last night after the game and look at some of his highlights. And let me tell you, perfect ball placement. Michael Penix Jr., he is going to have a long career in the NFL. And that's all I got to say about the New York Giants and the Atlanta Falcons. Michael Penix Jr., franchise cornerstone for the Atlanta Falcons. The next game I'm going to cover is the Detroit Lions and the Chicago Bears. I predicted this at the start of the season that the Detroit Lions would sweep the Chicago Bears, and that's exactly what they did. Jared Goff, 23 of 32, 336 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Caleb Williams, 26 of 40, 334 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Good. I got to come to grips now, America. I got to come to grips now. Now, first prediction of the season, I had the Chicago Bears as a dark horse team to make it to the playoffs. Now, obviously, I had been waiting a few weeks to do this, but now it's the right time. Now, I'm gonna tell everybody, I'm not too many times where I have been wrong when it comes to my predictions, but I'm wrong this time, and I'm man enough to own up to it. Now, what I saw at the start of the season with the Chicago Bears, they started out 4-2, and I thought that they were going to be a force to be reckoned with, which the first 6 games they were. But then offensive coordinator, they had troubles with their offensive coordinator. The head coach, they fired him after Thanksgiving. And then all of a sudden now, the Chicago Bears, they are looking for a new head coach. Now, what I'm hearing speculations that Cliff Kingsbury might be at the top of the hand when it comes to getting the Chicago Bears head coaching job. And that would be great for Caleb Williams because, back in college, Caleb Williams, the head coach for the Oklahoma Sooners when Caleb Williams was there, was Cliff Kingsbury. So this would be a match made in heaven. Now back to the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions had one of the most efficient games all season. Jahmyr Gibbs, 109 yards. The rushing attack, they had a good game. Jahmyr Gibbs, 109 yards. Craig Reynolds, 18 yards. Jamar Jefferson, 13 yards rushing. Jameson Williams, he had a huge explosive 82-yard touchdown that really set the tone for the game. Even though the Lions went in the Windy City, they wasn't fazed by that win. They was not fazed by the hostile crowd. They wasn't fazed by nothing because the Detroit Lions have won every game on the road this season. When have you ever heard that in the NFL? A team that is 13-2 and done won every road game on the season, done won every road game throughout the season. You know what that tells me? That tells me no matter where Detroit plays in the playoffs, they're going to be able to find a way to go on the road and win, or everybody going to have to come to Ford Field. Everybody going to have to come to Ford Field and find a way to win in Ford Field. The Detroit Lions, what they have done with Dan Campbell at the helm, it's just downright great to me. because when I was in middle school and in high school, the Detroit Lions, they was a bottom of the barrel team. Could hardly ever get 6 or 7 wins in a season. Now they have a chance at making, now they have a chance at getting home field advantage throughout the NFC portion of the playoffs. This is just great. Third down efficiency for Detroit Lions, they were 7 of 12. Second third down efficiency for the Chicago Bears was two. They were 2 of 10. Chicago Bears, come back next season and let's see what you can do. Yeah, let's see what you can do, Chicago Bears. But Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears, y'all got y'all cornerstone quarterback for the next 10 years. The next game I'm going to cover is the Cleveland Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, Cincinnati Bengals season is hanging by a thread. They need to win out. They need to win their next 2 games, and hopefully they have 3 teams, the Colts, the Broncos, the Miami Dolphins, lose out. They need all 3 of those teams to lose out. Now, I knew that the Cincinnati Bengals were going to win this game because the Cleveland Browns have been a dumpster fire all season, and they now 3-12. What Cleveland Browns need to do is get prepared for the NFL draft, because if I'm not mistaken, right now they are 4th in the draft. They have the 4th overall pick in the first round of the upcoming NFL draft. The Browns, I don't know what they're gonna do at quarterback, but Dorian Thompson Robinson, he had a decent game. 20 of 34, 157 yards, 0 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Joe Burrow, 23 of 30, 252 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Rushing attack for both teams were subpar. Both rushing attacks for the Browns and the Cincinnati Bengals were decent. Cleveland Browns rushing attack 148 yards. Cincinnati Bengals rushing attack 116 yards. Wide receivers had a good game. Cleveland, they had a couple fumbles. Cincinnati had a couple fumbles. Now, at the start of this game, this was basically how a AFC North matchup goes. It starts off close, and then by the 4th quarter, somebody usually takes over. Now, for the Cincinnati Bengals, Ja'Marr Chase had a good game. T. Higgins had a good game. Now, they're not going to be able to put both of them. They're not going to be able to put both of these players under contract. You might have to let T. Higgins go and sign Ja'Marr Chase to a big-time contract, because we already know that neither one of those players are going to take a pay cut. So the Cincinnati Bengals, they're going to have to make a tough decision. Either you pay one of them or let both of them walk. Now, I know that sounds crazy to everybody out there, but none of these players, Ja'Marr Chase or T. Higgins, are going to take a pay cut. So your best bet is to sign Ja'Marr Chase and let T. Higgins walk, because Ja'Marr Chase is the cornerstone wide receiver of the Cincinnati Bengals. And I hate to say it, that T. Higgins, since he's came to the Bengals, he's just been second fiddle to Ja'Marr Chase. And like I said, when it comes to what these players are getting paid now, every wide receiver wants to get paid like a top wide receiver. If they're not going to get it at this location, they'll go to another location and get those same amount of dollars, because everything now is generated by guaranteed dollars. How much money you going to give me up front? That's exactly what it is, because That's how we say it. Guaranteed dollars is another word for saying how much money you are going to give me up front. And if I have an injury, am I still going to be getting paid? Now we see how Deshaun Watson, he got it so good for the Cleveland Browns. He got it so good. If I was him, I wouldn't even suit up because every penny on my contract that the Cleveland Browns gave me, if I'm Deshaun Watson, I'm getting paid no matter what if I play or not. So why would I risk getting hurt when I'm gonna get paid either way? The next game I'm going to cover is the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. Anthony Richardson, really? Anthony Richardson. I mean, he was 7 up. Oh my goodness. Anthony Richardson had the stat line of the gas station, 7-Eleven. 131 yards, one touchdown, and one interception. Mason Rudolph, 23 of 34, 252 yards, two touchdowns, three interceptions. Now, Anthony Richardson, he's got a good career ahead of him. He just gonna have to start throwing for over 200 yards consistently every game because there have been games this season where he has thrown for under 200 yards and they still won the game. Now, every other quarterback that the Colts have had, their rookie season, excuse me, not their rookie season, but in their first 2 years, they've had a massive improvement from their first year to second year. Peyton Manning did it. Andrew Luck did it. Now, Anthony Richardson, he is way more athletic than Peyton and Andrew Luck put together. Now it's time for him to have one of those massive improvements coming in the next season. Next season, he is gonna have to deliver the goods because 7 of 11, he is not going to be able to have a game like this, 7 of 11. He's not gonna be able to have that. He's not gonna be able to have a game like that. So when it comes to this game, the next game, when it comes to this game, as far as rushing attack, Indianapolis Colts ran the hell out of the ball this game. 335 yards on the ground rushing. Tennessee, 65 yards on the ground. Their rushing attack was non existent. As far as their wide receivers for the Colts, they had a good game. Tennessee Titans wide receiving core had a good game. Tennessee Titans defense and Indianapolis Colts defense had a good game. It was pretty much a shootout, but at the end of the game, when the Colts needed to run the clock out, the offense stepped up to the plate and ran the clock out. Third down efficiency in this game was it was up and down. The Tennessee Titans were 5 of 11. The Indianapolis Colts were 8 of 15 on third down. So all in all, this was just a run of the muck game. No playoff. Indianapolis, they still had playoff implications on the line, but the Titans, they've been out of the playoffs for a good while. The next game I'm going to cover is the Los Angeles Rams and the New York Jets. First off, for the New York Jets, it's been a horrible season. It's been a horrible season for the New York Jets. Aaron Rodgers, 28 of 42, 256 yards, one touchdown, zero interceptions. Aaron Rodgers, he has been playing putrid all season. And let's just keep a buck, okay? Aaron Rodgers has been playing putrid all season. And when it comes to the New York Jets, as far as a team, this team was just built off of hype. It really was. It was just built off of hype. And then over the past few days, I've heard that the son of Jets owner Woody Johnson, Brick Johnson, he's calling the shots. Hey, I see nothing wrong with that because Brick Johnson, he is gonna have ownership of the team eventually, sooner or later. Why not start learning now? If he had a hand in drafting Sauce Gardner, then congratulations. He draft at least he had one good draft pick. At least he had one good draft pick. Because the New York Jets throughout the season, and I do mean throughout the season, early in the season, September, that was the best New York Jet football that anybody has ever seen. That 3-4 week run. And then ever since then, it has just been loss after loss after loss after loss. The Rams, they ain't start off too hot this season. They were pretty much on the outside looking in. Now, since the Cardinals lost yesterday, they have been eliminated. Since the Seattle Seahawks yesterday, they lost. They are not eliminated, but they still have a chance at making the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks season is hanging by a thread. The Los Angeles Rams, they have the best chance at winning the NFC West. Matthew Stafford, 14 of 19, 110 yards, one touchdown, one interception. Los Angeles Rams rushing game, 132 yards. Wide receiving for the Rams, led by Puka Nacua. Puka Nacua had eight catches, 56 yards, no touchdowns. His longest catch of the day was 27 yards. Devontae Adams, 68 yards. Longest catch was 13 yards. So this was basically a game where you had one team that was trying to fight for a playoff spot and another team in the Jets that was just basically going through the motions. I believe that the New York Jets going into the offseason, which is going to be in a few weeks. If I was the New York Jets, I would draft a quarterback, and what I would do is, since Aaron Rodgers want to come back, fine, bring Aaron Rodgers back. But I'm still going to draft a quarterback. I'm still going to draft a quarterback and let him gain experience. Let him gain knowledge from Aaron Rodgers as far as how quarterbacks are supposed to function in the NFL. Because no first round quarterback should have to come to the New York Jets and deal with the level of vitriol that comes when you are dealing with the New York media and that type of media market. Now, as far as third down efficiency, Rams 5 of 10. The Jets 5 of 13 on third down. Rams had this game no matter what. That is why I went with the Los Angeles Rams in this game. The next game I'm going to talk about is the Philadelphia Eagles and Washington Commanders. Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels. Man, oh man, this man is the real deal. 5 turnovers. Washington Commanders as a team had 5 turnovers yesterday and still won this game. They still won the Joker. Jaden Daniels, 24-39, 258 yards, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Now, Jalen Hurts, we all praying for you because that was a gruesome, and I do mean gruesome hit. And when he got back up, he was walking off the field saying that the game was over, and the referee was like, "No, it's just first quarter. The game just started." So hopefully Jalen Hurts is not out of the game is not out of the playoff picture for the Philadelphia Eagles. And what I mean by that is play, because that was a gruesome injury. That was a gruesome injury. Now, Kenny Pickett, 14 of 24, 143 yards, one touchdown, one interception. The Eagles, they had a chance at winning this game. Devontae Smith, Devontae Smith, only thing he had to do was just catch the ball. Now, like I said, I've played quarterback. I played quarterback in middle school. Yes, I played quarterback in elementary and in middle school. In a pressure packed moment like that, it's easier said than done catching a ball that's coming at you like a speeding bullet, and you catching it, making sure that you had a nice firm grip of the ball and then going down. But the Devontae Smith, he let the ball slip through his fingers, and that gave the Commanders a chance to win the game. And the Commanders, they went on ahead and won that game. Now, Commanders, Dan Quinn, he has just turned around. He has turned around the Washington Commanders franchise, along with Josh Harris, Magic Johnson, and everybody else that's in the Commanders ownership group. They have changed the they have changed the culture of the Washington Commanders. And I congratulate them on that, because last year they got this team, and it was just basically it was basically crumbs in the stadium. From It was just sloppy seconds from Daniel Snyder. They had got sloppy seconds, but they done they have renovated the team, and I hear that the Commanders, they are gonna have a new stadium within the next coming within the next couple of years. So this team, the sky's the limit for the Washington Commanders. This Washington Commanders team is going to be around for years to come. So we might as well get ready. My Dallas Cowboy fans out there, we got a new team to focus on. We can't just focus on the Eagles no more. We got to focus on the Commanders too, Dallas Cowboy fans. We got to focus on them too. So all in all, this was a entertaining game. Third down efficiency for this game was Commanders 7 of 13 on third down. Third down for the Philadelphia Eagles, they were 3 of 16. They were just awful on third down. And that is what basically lost them the game. And the Philadelphia Eagles kept kicking field goals while the Commanders kept scoring touchdowns. And that's basically what lost them this game. The next game I'm going to cover is the Arizona Cardinals and Carolina Panthers. I like what I'm seeing from Bryce Young. Bryce Young is your cornerstone franchise piece, Carolina. Do not mess this up. Do not mess this up. Do not put Bryce Young on the bench no more, because you do not need to mess up the process that the Carolina Panthers got going on. I mean, Bryce Young, the last couple of games, he has had a good stat line. He had a good stat line yesterday. 17 of 26, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Kyler Murray, 20 of 32, 202 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. Arizona Cardinals, you had your chance at making the playoffs. I said at the start of the season that the Arizona Cardinals are one of them bottom of the barrel teams. They are 7-8. They have been eliminated from playoff contention. I said that they wouldn't make it to the playoffs, and that's exactly, they are going home. They going back to the dirty desert that is Phoenix, Arizona, and what they can do out there. It's not much to do out there in Arizona, I might add you. Only thing you can do is just walk through the desert out there. That's all. And it hardly ever rain out there. It be so dry out in Arizona. So more than likely those players are gonna go somewhere like Cancun, or come down, or go down to Miami, or go down to Key West, or go to some of those touristy states. Or you know what they can do? They can go right up. They can go right up north to Vegas. Go right up north to Vegas and play a little blackjack, play a little craps, and have your a nice off season, and then come back at the start of April and May and start your off season training camp program. The Carolina Panthers, they are going to be a force to be reckoned with. Probably not next season, but the season after that. Because everything Chuba Herbert, top running back, they is a good running back. He a good running back. Also, I don't know what you're gonna do with Adam Thielen, because Adam Thielen is getting old. I actually met Adam Thielen at one of the at a Tim Tebow Golf Classic event. Adam Thielen, a nice person, nice player. I don't know why Minnesota let him. I don't know why Minnesota let him get away. But as far as this game, the Panthers, they headed in the right direction. The Arizona Cardinals, maybe next season. Maybe next season for you to get to the playoffs. It's a possibility. Possibility that next season might be the season for the Arizona Cardinals to get to the playoffs. So, all right, everybody. We getting down to the home stretch when it comes to this show right here. But I have a next show. I'm giving y'all my week 17 predictions in a little bit over 30 minutes. I am going to do my week 17 prediction show. So please do not go anywhere. Only thing I'm going to do is shift over from one video title to the next video title. So please stay here and just get comfy. So, Minnesota Vikings and Seattle Seahawks. This game was a very entertaining game. Sam Darnold, 22 of 35, 246 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Geno Smith, 31 of 43, 314 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Geno Smith, one thing about him, he's had a good season. It's just he's just been a turnover machine. When it comes to those interceptions, that is a trepidation factor right there. Most teams are not, and I'm just saying most people don't like Geno Smith because he throws too many interceptions. And Sam Darnold, he has had a season worthy of a contract like Baker Mayfield down in Tampa. Minnesota's rushing attack, 81 yards. Seattle's rushing attack, 59 yards. The wide receivers for both teams had a good day. Jackson Smith and Jigba, 95 yards. Justin Jefferson, 144 yards. Jordan Addison, 35 yards. So Minnesota Vikings, they are neck and neck. They are neck and neck when it comes to home field advantage throughout the NFC playoff. Minnesota and Detroit Lions, they are fighting with each other for the number 1 seed and first round bye in the NFC playoffs. Now, I don't know who's going to get it, but the next 2 weeks are going to say a lot when it comes to seeding in both conferences. Because everybody that has been a playoff team since the start of the season now is getting down to the nitty-gritty time. It really is, because there's no tomorrow, there's no next week. Hell, there's not even a There's not even a next month for most of these teams. So when it comes to Minnesota and the Seattle Seahawks, third down efficiency, both teams were awful. Minnesota, they just had a better defense than the Seattle Seahawks in this game. And that's one reason, and that is the ultimate reason why they won this game, because of turnovers. Seattle Seahawks turned the ball over multiple times in this game. They did, multiple times. The next game I'm going to cover is the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills won this game. It was a close game. Like I always say, when it comes to division rivals, the game is always going to be close. I got to admit, the Patriots did put up a good fight. 14-0. 14-0 in the second quarter. At halftime, it was 14-7. Josh Allen, 16 of 29, 154 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. Drake May, 22 of 36, 261 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Rushing attacks for both teams. Buffalo Bills rushing attack, 172 yards. New England Patriots rushing attack, 126 yards. The wide receivers for the Buffalo Bills and the New England Patriots, they had a good day. But like I said, all in all, in the end, we knew the Buffalo Bills was going to win this game throughout. Now, I watched this game, but I'm not going to get into it too much because we already know what the end result was going to be. Patriots, third down efficiency, 7 of 12 on third down for the New England Patriots. Buffalo Bills, 4 of 11 on third down for the Buffalo Bills. This was a very entertaining game, to say the least, knowing that the New England Patriots have played under par all throughout the entirety of this season. The next game I'm going to cover is the Jacksonville Jaguars and the Las Vegas Raiders. The Las Vegas Raiders, Aiden O'Connell, 24 of 38, 257 yards, 0 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. Mac Jones, 25 of 39, 247 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 touchdown and 0 interceptions. Now, this was one of the worst games of Week 16 in the NFL. I told everybody, if you a betting man, excuse me, I'm going to say something a little bit differently. If you are a betting man or betting woman, I said this is a game that you need to stay away from because you don't know who is going to win this game. And I'm pretty sure it was somebody that put some money on the Jaguars, had them to win, and they lost all their money. Now their whole parlay messed up. Now their whole gambling streak is messed up. Their gambling win streak is messed up. When it comes to teams like this, they just ready to get the season over with because both teams are 3-12. Jaguars rushing attack 72 yards. Las Vegas rushing attack 69 yards. And there was something, I saw the press conference of Antonio Pierce. There was a reporter asking him, a lot of Raiders fans were complaining about them winning this game. It hurt their draft stock because as of now, Raiders lost this game. If the Raiders lost this game, they would have had the first round draft pick. They would have had the first overall pick. But since they won this game, they are now 7th. They are now 7th. And when the reporter asked Antonio Pierce, what does he think about the Raiders winning this game and fans having a problem with it, he said, talk to Tom Telesco, the Raiders GM. well, if we gonna keep it real, let's keep it real. The Raiders, they didn't give Antonio Pierce, they didn't give him resources to work with when it comes to the Raiders. Because since he started with the Raiders, revolving door at quarterback, revolving door at wide receiver, revolving door at tight end. Now, congratulations to Brock Bowers on becoming one of the best tight ends in NFL history. He probably the best rookie tight end in NFL history. He has over 1,000 yards already this season, and there's 2 games left in this season. There really is. So that's one bright spot that the Raiders have. As far as the Jacksonville Jaguars, the one bright spot that the Jacksonville Jaguars have is Brian Thomas Jr. That's one wide receiver. That's one bright spot that they have. The Raiders and Jacksonville Jaguars are in the exact spot that you expect them to be. Underperforming quarterback play, and they are 3-12. Third down efficiency, 6 of 15. Third down efficiency, 6 of 15. When it comes to the Raiders, when it comes to the Jacksonville Jaguars, 4 of 14 when it comes to the Raiders on third down. The next game I'm going to cover is let me make sure. The next game I'm going to cover is the Miami Dolphins and San Francisco 49ers. The Miami Dolphins, they still got a chance at making the playoffs, 7-8. They need to win out and have the Cincinnati Bengals lose, have the have the Broncos lose, and have the Colts lose at least one of their remaining 2 games. But outside of that, Tua Tagovailoa, 22 of 34, 215 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. Brock Purdy, 26 of 40, 313 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. Outside of the Dolphins, Tyreek Hill, he hasn't had that breakout game like that we are used to seeing. 49ers haven't had that breakout game. They are 6-9. And like I said at the early point of the season, sometimes some teams are just gonna have to take a step back. Because a team that gets to the playoffs year in and year out, after there comes a time where all of those players start to get tired, and also injuries start to pile up just like they have, and also when you have underachieving quarterback play, that's also gonna hurt you. Now, as far as the Dolphins, Tua Tagovailoa, earlier on in the season, week 4 or 5, he had got injured. Now he has came back and he is keeping the Miami Dolphins afloat. But everybody out there that's looking at me, the Miami Dolphins, I don't think that they are gonna make the playoffs. No matter if they win these next 2 games, the Miami Dolphins are not going to make the playoffs. Now, if the Miami Dolphins do win the next 2 games and everything falls into place, and they somehow, the second Saturday in January, are playing in the playoffs, I will come right back here on my show and say I was wrong. I already said that I was wrong about my prediction when it comes to the Chicago Bears. I'm hardly ever wrong when it comes to predictions, but everybody goes wrong here and there when it comes to a prediction sometime. It's only a problem when you start when you start going wrong when it comes to multiple predictions. So I know it's some people out there, don't matter how many predictions they make, they always end up being wrong. So the next game I'm going to cover is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and my Dallas Cowboys. Now, I was looking at Jerry Jones last night. Jerry, my offer is still on the table. 7 years, 300 million. I can help you build a championship team. But there's one thing that I got to say. Dallas Cowboys, we need to draft a wide receiver. We got to help out CeeDee Lamb. We can't have CeeDee Lamb and then there's nobody else. I'm going to tell you, Brandon Cooks, he okay, but he a gadget guy. Jake Ferguson, he a tight end. He can only do but so much. Jalen Tolbert is a below average wide receiver. We have got to get one of those wide receivers from, I'm going to say, I'm not sure if Jeremiah Smith from the Ohio State Buckeyes is declaring for the NFL draft, but I would not be surprised if he come to the Dallas Cowboys. To have another dynamic wide receiver alongside of CeeDee Lamb, that's going to look good on the NFL highlights right there. But all in all, for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, I believe that you missed out on your chance of winning the NFC South last night, courtesy of my Dallas Cowboys, I might add you. So, everybody that's an Atlanta Falcons fan this morning, please thank my Dallas Cowboys for helping y'all out and getting on top in the NFC South. Now, one thing for the Atlanta Falcons, playoff clinching scenarios are if the Atlanta Falcons win one of their remaining 2 games and the Buccaneers if the Buccaneers lose one of their remaining 2 games, the Atlanta Falcons will win the NFC South. But all in all, I'm very proud of my Cowboys. Now, even though we're not gonna make it to the playoffs, we had a good showing. We did, cause, like I said, since the Washington Commanders won yesterday, I knew that was it for our playoff hopes, cause we needed the Washington Commanders to lose every game until they played the Cowboys again. So, Dallas Cowboys, one thing I can say is that we have a team that we can build up on, but Rico Dowdle, he's been okay, but let me tell you, Jerry, we got to get a new offensive line. We got to get a running back. We got to get multiple running backs. We got to get multiple tight ends. We got to get defensive backs. We got to get we got to get corners. The Dallas Cowboys, what we can do is, and Jerry, this is where you need me. This is where you need me, Jerry. You need me to go in there and tell you who has the best playing ability to play for the Dallas Cowboys. That's what you need to do. That's what you want. That's what you need me in there for. So, Jerry Jones, my offer is still on the table. 7 years, 300 million. And I'm going to tell you, the first 2 years of that contract, it is going to be a culture building time. That is what I always have done. No matter what I've gotten into, whether it was being on a football team, basketball team, the first couple of years have been culture building. And I believe that with my services, Jerry Jones, I can help you out and I can get you that elusive sixth Super Bowl that all of us Dallas Cowboy fans have been dreaming of. We trying, we trying to hold out hope. And Mr. Jones, you've been saying over the last 4 or 5 years, you know your clock is ticking. Well, one thing I can say, when you say your clock is ticking, you talking about me. The key is always on time. I can help you out. You just got to give me the right resources. And Jerry Jones, me and you, we could be at the center of the Super Bowl on the 50-yard line looking at our team and congratulating ourselves and congratulating the team. But one thing, you got to give me the resources and team executives. You got to give us all the resources that you can give us in order to build a championship level and a championship winning team. And with that, those are my reactions to week 16 of the NFL, of the 2024 NFL season. Please like, comment, share, subscribe. Click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. And don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere because within 5 minutes, I will be giving you all my predictions for week 17 of the 2024 NFL season. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, click the notification bell to get notified of all of my reaction videos, shows, and other content. Please like and follow Key City Sports on TikTok. And remember, one last thing, the key is always on time. I'll be back on in 5 minutes.